Hello, welcome to the Voice of TOD. I'm Tom, and yes, I thought I'd throw on a jacket and a hat. Good evening. I'm having fun with this one because this is the Tribeca Games Spotlight that we're going to watch. This is a more curated. Obviously, the Summer Game Awards, Summer Game Fest is quite curated. I get that. Jeff did a great job. I thought it was pretty good overall last night. We obviously led into Day of the Devs and the Devolver Madness. I love their showcases. But tonight is slightly different. Tonight is a much more curated, a much more fanciful affair. So, can you see? Cheers. We're on the spiced rum tonight. I've even got a bit of fruit in there. Hats on, jackets on. I'm making an effort, being respectable like. So, God, I love doing this. I believe this is about a 45-minute showcase. It's going to kick off. It looks like it's running a little bit later than 8 o'clock, but it's fine. We've got a time on screen. We know that we're here. This is the Tribeca site, so we're getting it straight from source. And it is not live. It is a premiere. It's pre-recorded, so it's probably going to run quite smoothly, which is all cool. Any problems with the audio, let me know. We can tweak it, we can change it, we can do whatever we need to do. We're just here to kick back on a Friday night here and enjoy. We've got a busy weekend coming up. I've scheduled loads of stuff for Saturday, and obviously the big one for me, the big one for this channel, the Xbox Showcase and Starfield on Sunday. And then we've got the PC Game Show afterwards as well. So hopefully we're going to get a load of cool things over the next couple of days. Monday, there is the Ubisoft Showcase. I won't be doing that because over on the Todd Plays Games channel, I will be streaming our co-op Solasta playthrough with Mark TC and Aimless. If you know anything about Solasta, if you enjoy Dungeons & Dragons and turn-based RPGs, things like that, go check it out. We have really good fun. It's always a really wacky stream, and big things are going to go down. So that's Monday night, so I'm not doing the Ubisoft live, but either after our stream or quite possibly Tuesday. It won't be Tuesday. It might be Tuesday. Either in the very early hours of Tuesday morning or later on in Tuesday day, I will do a pre-recorded reaction to Ubisoft. I'll watch it all. I'll give you my thoughts. I mean, the big thing for me after last night was Prince of Persia's back with the Lost Crown. It looks incredible. I've seen a few people kicking back on the soundtrack. I kind of get that. It was a little bit of a weird soundtrack, but it felt cool. It looked cool. I love the animation style. The gameplay looks so smooth. I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. Probably Assassin's Creed as well. Mirage is looking very nice. Going back to basics. It's what I like. Modern reskin of the first game, I'm happy with. Felt good. So that's what we've got coming over the next couple of days. But tonight, as we're building into the final couple of minutes for this games spotlight, let's touch on what we're probably going to be seeing. So it is as I say, a curated, I think it's 7 or 8 games. I'm not going to go through all of them because I want some surprises. There's quite a few on here, honestly, that I don't know anything about, which is good. I like seeing new things, and maybe there'll be something that I see and I think, ooh. Obviously the big one, and I've mentioned it down below in the description, The Expanse. Telltale Games take on Drummer and an element of her story throughout whatever time period we're in The Expanse. I'm guessing that we're early belt, hopefully pre-proto-molecule. I don't know. I've not, since its announcement, I've not looked at anything to do with this game, purposefully. I'm not a big lover of Telltale Games. I loved the first couple of seasons of Walking Dead. I played 1 and 2, really enjoyed them, and then I kind of just fell off. This one has me hook, line, and sinker. I love The Expanse. The Expanse is one of the great sci-fi shows of all time. The Drummer's an incredible character. She's one of my favourites. So that's cool. Stray Gods is another one. It's apparently a role-playing musical. Now, I don't love musicals. I like role-playing. The animation looks pretty cool. Had a bit of a Hades vibe to it from the bits that I've seen, animation-wise, not necessarily game-wise. So that could be fun to see. Another one that's been mentioned quite a bit is Chance of Sennaar. I don't know, no idea, but it sounds like it's much more of a sort of a mystery exploration kind of vibe. We'll see, we'll figure it out. There is other stuff there as well, and potentially we may see something of Hideo Kojima. I doubt it, honestly, looking at the schedule and how they've set things up. They do have a documentary done by him coming out very soon that's been selected for their festival. So maybe we'll get something, maybe we won't, who knows. But it would be cool if we did. I'm not going to turn it down. But let's go into the Tribeca Games Showcase. See what we have for 2023.
The city is back and it's exciting.
It's a fantastic film festival.
This is predominantly a movie thing, right? Actors. That's the focus. Alpa. Robert De Niro.
It's vibrant in the culture of New York, and we pull it all together with films, games, immersive experience.
We share our narratives now differently.
There are so many more things that games can be.
Absolutely.
Ever since I was a kid, I would play video games 24/7.
Every time I wanted to relax, every time I wanted to step out of the world for a bit.
You know, some people might say, well, go read a book. And I'm like, I don't want to read a book. I want to be in an interactive adventure. I want to feel
I'm feeling
like
overdressed.
I'm part of the story.
I am Julian Cordero, and my game is Despelote.
Goodbye, Volcano High.
Oh, have we seen that before?
A Highland Song.
Chunks of Sinnoh. Nightscape.
The Expanse.
Yeah, boy.
Welcome.
Welcome to Tribeca Games.
This has a very kind of funky, artisty vibe to it, doesn't it? Which is cool. I've not seen one of these before. A Highland
I
Song.
must have climbed the hill behind the house 100 times.
I'm sorry, if the music's bagpipes, I'm out. Looks stunning though. I love this kind of art style. So many games just using art style like this, which is cool.
Another again. And after all that, then that's the sea. And I've never been there.
A Highland Song is a narrative adventure game set in the wilds of the Scottish Highlands. You play as Moira McKinnon, a teenager on her way to the sea for the first time. But to get there, you're going to have to find your way through the wild mountains and the valleys. You'll have to survive the weather, and you'll learn a bit about the stories and the history of the Highlands on the way.
I love it. It looks pretty.
Game studio based in the UK.
Thanks, Doug, mate. Nice to see you. Hope you're well. It's Tribeca. We're putting on a show in a suit. Well, not a suit,
Our main
but
focus is on games that tell really strong stories.
yeah, this looks kind of cool as well.
My most famous game is probably 80 Days, an adaptation of Jules Verne's.
There's a lot that I'm not going to know in this
The
showcase.
hook of 80 Days is that you can go around the world any way you like. The way that Highland Song works is extremely similar to 80 Days. You start.
Oh, so they're
in
referencing
one
previous
particular
stuff. Okay,
point,
that's cool.
and you can choose all sorts of different routes through the Highlands.
Yeah,
in
I love
order
The
to reach your
Expanse.
goal.
Brilliant sci-fi
It
show.
also ends.
And Drum is a cool character, so I'm looking forward to seeing that.
The lighthouse where you're.
And I mean, I know we're going to see it here, so it was a safe bet. But
Finding the right
yeah, I think that's going to be pretty cool.
for a game like a Highland Song can be really difficult. Gameplay is usually built around loops and patterns, but good narratives aren't made out of loops. We want to make sure that the character isn't doing anything just for the sake of gameplay, but
Interesting.
what the character's doing has to make sense within the narrative.
I agree with that.
The reason that we've essentially
Looks
created our
very
first
good.
platforming game is that it just makes sense for the character within this scenario to be jumping and scrambling over rocks. And it even has a rhythm action mechanic.
No, no.
So in many ways, it's the most gamey game that we've ever created.
Not rhythm.
Platform
I'm not good with
abilities
rhythm.
in a Highland Song are quite realistic. She has a limited amount of time that she can climb. She gets hurt if she falls too far. She can rest to recover her strength. She gets affected by weather and affected by nighttime and affected by cold. A lot of our mechanics are built around the tension between
Interesting.
knowing where you are and being lost. We have a map mechanic, which is all about that. It's about finding little pockets of knowledge, learning the names of peaks and understanding the history of the peaks to help you find your way through this world.
Definitely an adventuring kind of game.
At Inkle, we've always loved hand-drawn 2D illustration. We love
it's a
how
nice
expressive
illustration
it is,
style.
especially for characters. Even when we made 3D games, we still had 2D characters because we loved the overall effect.
Okay, so far there's no bagpipes, so I'm kind of happy.
I grew up in Scotland. When I was a teenager, I went up into the Scottish Highlands with 3 friends and we got lost and we had to stumble through rivers and bogs.
Yeah,
It
I
was
bet that happens a
really
lot.
Quite a chilling, scary experience. My parents are art historians, and there was always one painting in particular that they had that I used to love as a child. It had a little ruined castle by loch and these Scots pine trees.
You can see that
golden brown
shown in the
colour
game
palette
style,
was so
that
characteristic
just that
of
one
the
art
region.
piece.
And so
There's
going
obviously a lot of
for
inspiration from it, which is cool.
painterly aesthetic was a way to capture that. The more modern take on that is the digital paintings of concept artists such as Paul Scott Canavan, who we worked with on this project, and he came up with
Too
this
cultured for me.
really beautiful way of hand painting rocks and trees and grass and then assembling them as a huge collage, but then all built up so that the overall effect is of a painting coming to life.
When people play a Highland song, I really want them to come away with a strong sense of the place.
Have I heard of Heaven's Fall? I don't think I
There's
have.
this tension in that place between being full of story and history and the marks left behind by
I
people,
love that
whether
it's
that's
got that
ruined
darker, kind of
farmhouses,
wetter
or whether
vibe that
that's
the
just
Highlands has. It's not bright sunshine burning through the clouds and looking amazing.
Go back a very, very long way
It feels much more weathered and earthy.
Conceived of the game, I tried to forget everything about what games we'd made as a studio before, what games are out there, and I just tried to imagine what do I want on my Switch for me to play right now. And
So it's on Switch
pretty
then?
much a Highland song, as the way it looks and feels, popped into my head, and I can't be prouder of what we've created.
Yeah, I agree. There was some fantastic games at the Day of the Dev showcase last night. Some truly stunning. Like I put a video up on the channel. The one that caught my eye most was Summerhill.
Originally in Montreal, but is now
I don't care about sheep, but it just looked like a beautiful game.
It is a cooperative.
Basically, that means that we make all major decisions together. We decide whether we want to work 4 days or 5 days. Spoiler alert, we decided to do 4 days a long time ago.
We present
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
when we are starting to.
I'd choose to do 4 days.
And we all vote on what we think is what everybody would like to work on.
And you feel more attached
Interesting.
to what you're making because you voted for it, you chose it.
It was really important for us to feel like this was a different space where people actually could be the voices behind the games that we make.
We are.
That's what makes indie games so great. They are smaller teams, but they work so much more sort of closely. They seem like a much more cohesive unit straight through the development process, which is really nice. I'm so glad that gaming is in a space where we can explore and have companies that are just one guy, 2 guys, you know, a handful of people, and still put out some truly stunning games.
Who would you be? Who would you want to love? And how would you want to go out?
I vote yes.
I think we've seen
I
this
don't
before.
think this is a voting type situation.
I mean, it does kind of.
Don't know
belong
where,
to
but I think we've seen this before. Again, this is the art style of like cartoons of my childhood.
It does.
I prefer this to a lot of the anime stuff.
So, what do you say, Fang?
We chose dinosaurs for Goodbye Volcano High for a couple of reasons.
Did we see it at
Originally, when we
Xbox
presented
last
the
year?
game to everybody else, it was meant to be a dating sim because, like, at the time, this was kind of like the hot thing to work on was dating sims. And then we were like, hold up, here's the hook. It's a dating sim with dinosaurs at the end of the world.
So I was out with dating sim, but dinosaurs do just pull me back in a little bit.
Characters are unsure what's gonna happen. You know what's gonna happen.
And that was
We
really
saw this
important
last
to
year,
us
though.
because we wanted to make something that could tap into the anxiety of our current times. And dinosaurs was a really great way to create that metaphor instantly.
as it went on and we became kind of more ambitious and more interested
I see that.
in making
Yeah,
what
I buy
we
that.
actually like, we were like, what if it's an anime and we tell a story that isn't necessarily so focused on dating, but really goes deep into the emotional aspects of the end of the world.
So high school already.
So it's not a dating sim then?
To most people, so it wasn't really that hard to hone in on the teen angst. It's really the hope that's tricky to encapsulate.
It's a teen angst
To
game.
me, is all about that
Okay.
sweet, sweet balance of doom and hope.
Hope for the better future, hope for the dreams we chase and the ambitions we strive for. Those are things that can feel impossible to cling to, especially with something that can't be stopped and feels inevitable, like a giant meteor hitting you.
And
Yeah, dating sim is.
reacted to the news of a previously
You're not going to
unknown
get
space object this morning.
probably 95% of people who try a game like this, they're probably not going to do it if it's a dating sim.
Joking. They're kind of making gallows humor jokes.
But I don't know. Dating sims might be a massive part of gaming these days. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned.
My chosen theme feels off.
What's the theme?
Using this year to, make an impact.
Our characters all have different methods of coping. Some double down on their
I think
ambitions
Fang should be a
to
T-Rex though.
before it's too late.
That's the perfect
Others
name for a
slow down and
T-Rex.
decide to savor what time they have left, regardless of what their dreams are.
We can still win Battle of the Bands, asteroid or not.
The player character essentially ends up being the UI, and you end up playing as Fang's inner monologue.
Interesting.
I think this means she's rooting for us?
Music is really important in Goodbye Volcano.
I quite like the soundtrack.
I would actually say music is really important to our studio and all of our games. It's core to our DNA, and music is central to the identity of the people who make the game, and so it is central to the identity of the game itself and the characters within it.
There's no performance in this game that is separate from the narrative. It is essentially the same as having a...
This is the slowest Guitar Hero copy I've ever seen. Are the prompts supposed to be doing something to the music that it's showcasing?
Fang is kind of gearing up for their future as a musician, and then realizing that they may not have a future anymore. So those
Maybe this is another existential crisis game that we're going to play on the channel, and it's going to cause me to have all kinds of questions.
I think every person hopes that they get to be near people they love and who understand them and that love them. Those are things people can grasp no matter how much time they have left.
I think that this game
How much time they have left? That's dark.
brave, to do the brave thing and love each other and be there for each other, even when it's scary, even when you don't know what's going to happen.
So, is it a co-op game? Because that might fit the vibe. Chance of Senna. Oh, it's a Focus game. Interesting. Focus do some cracking games. Another beautiful art style. Love the colours.
Bonjour, je suis Julien.
Bonjour, je suis Thomas.
Nous sommes les cofondateurs de Rundisk et nous sommes ici pour vous parler de Chants of Senna.
Avec Chant of Senna,
Why is there
nous avons
a guy in a
voulu
hamster
proposer
wheel?
une aventure originale basée sur le mythe de Babel.
On a essayé de vous plonger dans la peau d'un voyageur qui débarquerait dans un pays complètement inconnu.
Tout au long de son ascension, le
Stunning.
joueur va rencontrer 5 peuples différents. Chaque peuple a ses propres coutumes, sa propre histoire et évidemment sa propre langue.
Comme chacun de ces peuples parle des langues différentes, ça fait des siècles qu'ils ne se comprennent plus. Une partie du jeu et de l'aventure va consister à comprendre les raisons de
This game is
cette
about
division et peut-être essayer
understanding
de rétablir l'harmonie dans la tour.
and connecting with people who don't speak your language. That's a pretty cool idea. Again, something that 10 years ago video games wouldn't be delving into and trying.
S'inspirer de la tour de Babel,
If you
c'est
couldn't
un
shoot
mythe qui est
it with a
très puissant,
gun,
qui parle des hommes qui essaient
it
d'atteindre
wouldn't
le
get
ciel en
made.
faisant une gigantesque tour. Et ça a déplu aux dieux qui ont décidé de les frapper d'une malédiction en leur faisant tous parler une langue différente. Ce qui est important et original dans le jeu, c'est que les langues sont des puzzles en soi. Pour nous, un mot c'est pareil qu'un levier, une porte, une clé. On comprend des langues en résolvant des puzzles.
Oh, I kind of like that you've got to solve puzzles by figuring out what things mean. That's really cool.
Chant of Sonar est avant tout un jeu d'aventure. Au-delà de l'aspect puzzle, le joueur devra explorer l'environnement, interagir avec différents personnages et participer à des scènes d'action et d'infiltration.
Action and stealth.
On a eu cette idée
Yeah, okay.
de créer un héros qui serait plus un traducteur, un diplomate, un scientifique quelque part, et qui soit dans cette démarche de réconciliation. Le personnage lui-même n'est pas un personnage violent, c'est pas un personnage fort, c'est pas un guerrier. Il va s'en sortir, il va trouver les clés autrement que par la violence. C'est important pour nous de montrer ça, puisque quelque part ce qu'on essaie de montrer dans le jeu, ce qu'on essaie en tout cas de dire dans le jeu, c'est que la violence n'est pas forcément le moyen de tout
Get that quite like this. This is very pretty. There's nothing that I'd rush out and play right now, but
principalement dans la bande dessinée européenne des années 70-80.
definitely things I'll check out down the line.
On a convoqué le brutalisme, l'architecture mauresque, l'architecture indienne, et c'est ce qui nous a permis
Just
de
love the colours.
pluriel.
Colours are stunning. And the use of colour, sorry, is stunning.
Chant of Sonar est une invitation au voyage, à la tolérance et à l'ouverture sur les autres.
D'ordinaire, les langues étrangères sont vues comme un frein. C'est d'ailleurs pour ça qu'on parle de barrière de la langue. Mais dans Chofts of Scénar, ce contexte est voué à être dépassé, puisque les langues y sont à la fois l'obstacle et la solution. On espère que vous aurez du plaisir à découvrir la tour, à résoudre ses mystères et à nous aider à réunifier ces peuples.
Et évidemment, nous avons hâte d'avoir vos retours.
September 5th, it's coming out soon. On everything. Cool. Very interesting. Nightscape.
Nightscape is a 2.5D atmospheric adventure game where the ancient Arabian night sky loses its light.
There's a lot of 2.5D adventure platformers coming out last couple of years and certainly over the next year.
As Layla, players wield a magical astrolabe, restoring stars back to constellations in order to seek a path home. A key stellar cast member is the Goat Kid constellation. The Goat Kid decides to accompany Layla in her journey.
These days, people do not know much about
It looks,
and the stories behind them, especially
I suppose it is, halfway between the sort of hand-drawn animated 2D stuff that we've seen and the more 3D, bigger platformers.
Backstories are, and finding out how we can turn those ideas.
It isn't really vibing with me.
The importance of the sky is having this sky-ground connection. Having Layla use the constellation's abilities to solve puzzles and help with Layla in defeating enemies.
The game being 2.5D,
That's an interesting mechanic.
You can actually walk into the screen. There's a lot there that allow them to make the game very cinematic.
This is a brand new experience for me, building a team from the ground up. We found an amazing level designer in Nabil and a coder in Idris. And very recently we found our technical artist in Zaki, and those three are the powerhouse of the studio. And I think it's really genuinely amazing that we found those guys who are willing to work with us in Doha. I was very unsure about the amount of talent for making video games in the Middle East. And I think we got super lucky finding the team that we did.
For me, it all starts with a story and pictures that triggers my imagination. It triggered immediately some music in my mind. Beautiful Middle Eastern melodies to take.
The other beautiful thing about a lot of these indie games that we've seen recently, and certainly on the showcase stuff, the music is so much a piece of it, the storytelling, as well as the graphics and the gameplay and the story that they're telling. But the music is key to everything. It helps the games flow. That's one of the things I loved about. Right, maybe it's a much bigger game, but it still had that indie kind of feel with A Plague Tale. The music was just so much the heart of the game.
Which is a mix of knife and stone. The voice of a scorpion is my voice, actually. And then overly processed.
Yeah, like, I think there's some cool ideas here. This isn't my kind of game, sadly.
Particularly,
but it's certainly an interesting idea.
The player is trying to figure out the puzzles.
Just don't love the graphical style. I kind of wish they'd gone 2D.
My hometown had about
Is that a bit cruel?
So, looking at the stars was one of my hobbies, which is why Nightscape appealed to me a lot.
There's about 65 million people in the MENA region who play games, and there's a very, very sparse amount of content being developed from within. We want to push that boundary, and we want to create fun and meaningful games with the Middle East in mind.
That's good though, that's admirable.
Traditions and history to really inspire ideas for games.
Again, branching out further and further into different sort of countries and communities and cultures. Not every game has to be for someone like me. I'll play just about anything. I won't play anything, but I'll play just about anything. But Stray Gods is another one that's got a lot of hype. This is the role-play musical. Again, not really for me. I'm not a musical fan, but you know what this reminds me of? The art style. Broken Sword, the first Broken Sword.
I was always absolutely convinced that we can only be this and this only until someone comes along and proves them wrong.
Stray Gods is a role-playing musical where you control the song. You play as Grace,
Beautiful art style as well.
dropout who's not quite sure what to do with her life.
A woman living in the modern world who encounters the last of the Greek muses.
Calliope?
Interesting.
Dies in her arms, passes on her powers, and Grace discovers that the Greek gods are alive and well and hidden in the modern world.
That's a cool hook. You've got me in. I love Greek stuff.
Appeals beyond just fans of video games. It's a really unique story and a unique experience.
There are so many elements that go into this game to make it special that you can attach to any one of them and have an incredible experience.
Stray Gods is what we call a role-playing musical. It's not really a genre that's ever existed before.
You say you didn't kill Calliope. You have 1 week to prove it. What do I do?
Start singing.
This is a game with branching musical numbers where the key decisions in the story are made in musical numbers that change depending on your choices.
Lost girls. The way that we tackle music
That might
is
bug
one
me.
that people have never seen before. Boarding multiple branching paths that should link up to each other. There's a lot of consideration.
But I'm interested because it's never been done
It's
before.
very complicated, but it feels very worth it in the end.
I want to know who the voice actress is.
We got to work with some of the best, the most talented voice actors in the world, the most talented people on Broadway.
It is.
What more could you ask?
I thought it was. It's Laura Bailey.
Work with some
You can hear it in her voice when she sings.
Gator, Tribeca has been nuts. At the end of the day, it came down to our composer, Austin. He worked some kind of dark
Austin,
magic.
of course.
And you're like, don't know how you transformed that take into this, but it's absolutely amazing.
Austin Wintry. He's incredible.
We have such incredibly
And Troy Baker can sing as well.
characters in this game. Every single
I'm already in. I love
character
the voice cast. I love the music.
My
I'm in.
favorite
I hate musicals. I'm in.
I really love Aphrodite. I think she is beautiful.
Oh, no, that's too hard of a question.
My favorite character is, I think, Orpheus.
My king, Orpheus. He's my favorite. It used to be Hermes, but Orpheus, emo king, love.
Look at me. Who do you think I am? I'm saying Medusa. I am the #1 Medusa fan in the office.
I love Medusa, and I love Persephone, and I adore Freddie. But my favorite...
I reckon my favorite character is Freddy.
I'm really going to go against the grain here. My favorite character is Freddy.
Everybody's going to say Freddy, so I thought I'd say someone else as well.
But my favorite... Oh, yeah, I'll say Freddie. But Medusa and Calliope and Persephone. Like, it's really hard. Sorry.
There is a level of belief in the studio in the themes in this game and the stories that it's trying to tell and the people it's trying to involve and the people it's trying to talk to that I haven't seen on a lot of the games that I've worked on in my career.
We've assembled this superstar group of people. It is a Voltron of game development.
Early on, Liam made a conscious effort to make sure that everyone that we hired culturally fit, but also had a conscious effort to make sure that we weren't hiring the same kind of people.
Every single person who came
You should do that anyway, right?
brought something wholly and uniquely theirs.
It's one thing to be able to hire to have diverse voices. It's also another thing to make sure that those voices are heard. It's just important for us that everyone,
Yeah,
one,
that's a good
feels
shout.
safe enough to share their opinion, and two, diverse enough that many opinions are shared from all sorts of walks of life.
And this is another thing that indie devs can do over bigger AAA Publishers.
And I really like being reminded that making games can also be about joy.
Very soon. The idols will be
What a hell of a cast. Yeah, you've sold me. Like, I hate musicals. We're gonna play that. I don't know when, but we'll play it. Here we go, The Expanse. And how Telltale have changed over the decades since I haven't played the games.
The Expanse is an exceptional intellectual property in that it's huge, and that the characters are the forefront of what they are focusing on.
What is so compelling about it is that it works in several different mediums, right? I mean, we began with the books.
She's brilliant as drummer.
I think what was so special about the television show was
She looks weird without all the dark eye makeup, though.
Of looking in at this same story.
So what's unique about the way that we tell stories is that we give our players agency over the character they're playing, which basically means that their choices shape the overall story, so they're actually living in the story.
Have they got the suits from the show in the background?
When you're adapting a television property into a video game property, you have to think about what the fan is expecting and when they're.
That's insane. I suppose the show isn't being made anymore, but still.
The first season, we're getting to see the world
Pre-proto
through
molecule.
the drummer's eyes. She is a belter, somebody who's out in deep space and has grown up there, has never set foot on a planet. So her perspective is really different.
It's hard for me to look at these moons without thinking about the other research colonies exploiting all the resources on them and giving nothing to the belt.
I hoped to portray her.
It's going to be
especially at the
very
beginning of the
political.
video game as a little bit more vulnerable and open, and to see the events that cause her to harden.
Just like series.
That makes sense.
Bossing everyone around. Only this time, no dolls to keep you on the leash, yeah?
A really
That's a very
awesome
drummer thing to
character
do.
Like drummer deserves to have really interesting situations to be put in that fans have come to expect from the show, and now it's like they're getting to play an episode of The Expanse, but in video game form. We can do things like
I'm sold.
put zero G in the game, but we have to think about it from what's a good interaction medium, and changing that from what you may have seen in the show slightly to make sure that it's something that you can grok immediately and that feels good on the sticks, but that is also representative of what you see in the show. Those characters have really complex issues
I get
they're
that.
facing regularly. And in narrative games, we want to give players these gray areas to really think, is this the answer I wanted to choose, or do I want to choose this?
That's what The
answer?
Walking Dead
And
did
that
so
they
well.
both have their upsides and their downsides.
Season 1 was, some of the choices were crazy. I don't really remember two.
Belay that. That vault has O2, fuel, armaments. We can't afford to lose it.
It was a really interesting challenge to come at the same character in a completely different medium.
Deck 9 is a video game studio. We are known for our narrative, our characters, and our motion capture technology.
It's a completely blank white room. You've got some.
It
tape
looks
on the
better
floor,
than
maybe
Telltale
something
Games
made out of wire to show where a door frame might be
used
or
to
something
look.
like that. But otherwise, it's pure imagination.
I assume you didn't come here to talk about crystals.
We have a new target.
What is it this time, El Dorado? The Fountain of Youth? Let me guess. The Falcon Horde of Venus?
The UNN Urshanabi. Cap believes there's something valuable on board.
Something that we are really excited for people to experience in the Expanse of Telltale series is the emotional performance that we're getting from our actors that comes through with our technology. And
I
from
wonder
our
who else we'll
animators
see. So
really
Dawes has
bring
been
out the
name dropped.
personality in these characters.
I work for you, but you don't own me.
Believe me, I'm well aware.
Just want to make sure you're not having second thoughts about our deal.
Oh, come on. We're equal partners. We pay the crew, the costs, and the overhead.
The rest is 50-50. You and me.
They recorded it over
I mean, that's the joy and the beauty of a job like this. Is that I get
Teams.
to play.
Surely not.
We're hoping that you form these bonds with these characters and that they are something that you carry with you after you're done playing the game and you're thinking about it later. That to me is always a testament.
I'm so close to rewatching The Expanse. I think it's probably best to play this and then go. I mean, you could watch season 1. Play this Alcon as well. When's it out? Has it? Obviously doesn't have a date yet. Gotta be due soon. Despelote.
I am Julian Cordero, and I'm the lead developer and programmer in Despelote.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think it was a read-through.
Despelote is a game about soccer.
The audio quality was far too good to have been recorded on a laptop mic.
When Ecuador was really close to qualifying to the World Cup for the first time. Everybody was incredibly excited about this moment, and you see it through the eyes of an 8-year-old kid kicking a ball around with your friends in the park.
Very interesting art style.
I played a lot of soccer. In Ecuador, the culture of soccer is very big, and if you're a boy and you're not playing soccer, it's like hard to make friends. A lot of like my best friends I made were through playing soccer.
Used to be similar in England as well. You'd always see kids out in the streets playing football. You don't see that anymore.
That sort of made me like take a step back from it. I sort of like realized this, and I was like, oh, like this had such a big role in my life. I wanted to make this game to sort of like figure out what it was that was really interesting about soccer growing up. When I started making the game, the first thing I focused on was this like relationship with the ball, and like making the ball like this physical object that you're kicking around. More than like creating like a soccer match, I knew that I wanted to just like your relationship with the ball and like how that
interesting.
Then relates to your environment. Immediately was thinking, okay, what should it look like? And there was this artist and musician, Sebastián. I really liked his work.
My name is Sebastián Balbuena, and I am in charge of the art in Despelote. That includes 2D animation, 3D modeling, and also the music. This is actually the first video game I have ever worked in.
I knew the game was going to be in 3D because I wanted the game to be like feel very physical, and this like the physical connection with the ball.
We wanted to find a graphic style that could communicate emotions, and we found that the 2D hand-drawn animation was the best way to do that.
I'm not sure I love the colors.
His previous work.
I'll be honest.
Style sort of feels very nostalgic to us to have.
It feels very
with this like very grainy aesthetic.
Like
that was just very important to have that dynamic.
Washed out, I guess.
Being so noisy, the characters being so like.
The characters definitely stand out.
As soon as like I was like, okay, well, what's the setting for this game? Like the only really idea I had was like where I have played soccer in my life, which is in Quito. That's where the game sort of had to be set. It became really important for us to like capture Quito in a way that was like very true to us. So we're using a lot of pictures, and the buildings are all real buildings.
Some of the voices are from people that we knew. We wanted to.
Now they've said that, I can see it.
That you get when you listen to people's conversation in the street. So that's why we went with the improvisation for the dialogue.
It's all improvised, really. We like approached a lot of friends and family in Ecuador.
That makes sense.
Parents are played by my own parents, so there's an interesting dynamic happening there as you run around as a kid. The scene we said is it's 2001. Ecuador is just coming out of this big economic crisis, and there's this idea we can qualify to the World Cup, and that's like really exciting. And it's been great because I think it's bringing in a lot of this like sort of communal understanding of the moment. So my parents aren't really big soccer people, but the excitement of qualifying to the World Cup was so big that even they were really excited about it.
It's another thing that you don't, like as a culture in England, you don't really get that because we always qualify. It's very rare that we don't, so it's just expected.
The first time we qualified to the World Cup, it sort of meant like, oh,
so that hope
country, but all of a sudden
and that celebration of soccer through achieving something like that.
We were like in the big.
It's never something I've really experienced on an international level.
Big thing. Pelota in
It's definitely an interesting hook.
And despelote is sort of a saying that people have.
I'm still trying to work out who this game's for.
Like, this is a mess. So it's sort of like a play on words, like ball and like mess. We're growing up with this idea of si se puede, which is what the people chant to the soccer team, which means, yeah, we can do it. Si se puede and si se pudo, like we can do it and we already did it. Like that's not something my parents were able to like grow up with. people like grasped onto it so much, and I think it like really gave a lot of people so much hope. And I think for me, like that being like one of my earliest memories, it sort of made me grow up thinking like, oh yeah, like yes, we can. I hope that people really enjoy just running around in Quito.
It's obviously left quite an impression on him growing up, witnessing it as a kid.
Trying to recreate it
for him to make a game about it.
It's more of like a fuzzy memory, and I hope that feels very like transportive for people.
I get the fuzzy memory style,
this moment
but
in time in Ecuador was.
There's fuzzy memories, and then it just looks so washed out. Like a little bit of colour would have been nice. Make it a bit more appealing to me, to my eye. But again, I don't think that's a game that's for me. So that's cool. And we are done. Some really interesting stuff in there. Definitely The Expanse looks better every time I see it. And as I said at the intro, I've not seen much of it, but I am quite looking forward to really getting into it when it drops. I think, again, a game like The Expanse and usually Telltale games in general is going to have a story that you can replay over and over and make different choices and see what you can do differently and how many people chose what, which is really cool. Stray Gods, straight away, you got me with the voice cast and you got me with the Greek gods, so that looks good. I'm going to go wish list that now, actually. But that was cool. That's the only one that we've got tonight. It was, I thought it was about 45 minutes, but yeah, with really interesting, some really beautiful stuff, some stuff that's not really for me. But I like doing these, certainly the smaller ones. Tomorrow is going to be another day. Let me get up what we've got on tomorrow. Because tomorrow's another day of games and showcases where I don't really know what to expect, but we're gonna cover them. We're gonna talk about them anyway. Just because I'd be watching this anyway, so I may as well watch it and share my thoughts, and hopefully some of you guys will join me too. We've got Future of Play, Wholesome Direct, and Future Games Show kicking off from 4 PM British time, UK time tomorrow. So we've got probably about 4 or 5 hours there of. No, 4 hours, I'd say, of content. And then Sunday is the big one. Sunday is Xbox, which I'm so nervous about. My predictions video is going to have to come out tomorrow. The second part of the predictions video. So yeah, lots to come still. Dogmeat, always nice to see you in chat. Thank you very much for jumping in. I'm going to nip off. I'm going to dress down, remove the jacket and hat, because it is still very warm in here. And I will catch you all tomorrow for, what do we got first? The Future of Play Direct. Streams are up if you want to stick a notification on. See you all later. Have a good evening. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.